Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
This man is purely evil.
He's evil.
Evil. Evil. He's not a man. Hello, everybody. Braden Harrington here with Davie Portman for Poison Rana. Happy Halloween. It is October 30th. Devil's Night. Is that rough wine there?
That's rough wine.
How did he do it all those times?
Well, I mean, these are like 2 weeks old and 2 bottles mixed together. So yeah.
We look pretty old today.
Yeah. I bet he drank any old swill. No, I'm actually Donald Pleasance. You know, like the finer. A nice cab. I think we discovered last year. Right?
You're wearing a cab on your head right now.
My do rag. Right now.
Yeah, you look like you're wearing a do rag. This is a special podcast here today. If you've been following us, Up Next or Poison Rana, you know every Halloween we celebrate by reviewing a Halloween movie in the series, and we've been going in order. And today we're going to chat about Halloween H20, water, 20 years later from 1998. And if you're listening to the audio version, we recommend to go over to our YouTube page to watch the video version. And you may understand why we might be in giggles and why I might not be able to focus with what I have in front of me.
Do you like the beard?
You've shaved your beard into a goatee. You've put white stuff in it to make it look old and gray. And then you have a bald cap on that
doesn't fit properly.
That looks like a skin-colored do-rag.
Yeah.
So
just a condom on my head.
Yeah, pretty much.
It looks like I'm gonna pull it down and attempt a bank robbery.
Yeah. That's what we're doing later. That's our fourth stop of the night. But yeah, it's Loomis night.
It is. Happy Loomis night, everybody.
This all came about because of these podcasts. So doing each of these reviews over the years, we've really grown fond of Donald Pleasance.
Oh, yeah.
Of Dr. Loomis. We love him so much.
I'm kind of sad because he's not in this one.
His picture is. His voice is
kind of.
He's not in this one. So it just worked out that this year we are reviewing this one. And tonight is our Loomis night. So we'll be posting on our socials, of course, photos and everything. But we thought Michael Myers, everyone always dresses up like him. And he gets all the love, even though he's the killer. What about the hero in these stories? Dr. Loomis. Donald Pleasance.
I mean, he is the real hero, isn't he? Yeah. I mean, Laurie comes and goes. She dies. She doesn't die.
Yeah.
And whereas Dr. Loomis has been the constant throughout, apart from maybe, Halloween 3. But yeah, we kind of just got into a fit of giggles last year. I know our good friend Justin would always send us whatever time of year it was. It didn't have to be October. It would be, a beautiful like spring day, and will be sent Donald Pleasance facts by our Justin. And originally we were hoping he'd join us for this and for Loomis night and everything. Unfortunately, he can't. But happy recovery, Justin.
Yes.
Get well soon. But yes, he kind of planted this idea in our head. And I think on last year's Halloween, we said, wouldn't it be funny if we had everyone dress up as Dr. Loomis? We've done our couples costumes before. We've done Cody and Arn, Sting and Darby. We've done the Shield. But this year we thought we've got to both be Dr. Loomis. Yeah.
Both be. We do have a Michael Myers, maybe a few showing up to our event later today. But yeah, this was all just a big joke, and we want to have fun at a Halloween party. So we've invited a bunch of our friends. And luckily enough, I think we were aiming for a goal of 5 Loomisi, and I think we might have more.
I think we might have 10. If we're lucky, there could be 10.
Yeah.
Loomis tonight. And yeah, I must admit, about a week ago, I was getting a little nervous about this event, but now I'm feeling good. It seems like a lot of people are coming through, and I'm excited.
Yeah. So we do a lot of watch parties of wrestling in the city of Toronto, and we're pretty dare I say, well known for throwing wrestling watch parties. So we thought, why not have an excuse to play Halloween? So we're going to be airing the original and then Halloween 2, whether it's at the same bar or a different bar. But we have a few bars involved, a few beer reps, and then we're taking all the money that we make and donating it to sick kids.
Yeah.
So we are just doing this for a bunch of fun.
It's strange movie to be donating to kids, but like Halloween is all about
Halloween
kids,
is Halloween.
you know, giving candy out and all that.
You know, kids get to have all the fun at Halloween, but adult Halloween is where it's at. We all know that. The adults go even crazier. I mean, really, it's I guess adults without kids who gets really go a bit more crazier. But Halloween for adults is great.
Once you have kids, you just got to get them involved in the costume,
And
right?
then
I love seeing those things of, you know, I think my friend did the Flintstones with their little girl recently, and I can't, was it Pebbles or something, the girl's name?
That's right.
Something like that. Yeah. I love those kind of group costumes as well.
Yeah, I definitely. And then you could trick or treat with them and then eat their candy and say, "Oh, you ate it all. Let me make sure it's good."
Oh, the Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to post a picture of us right now as
right.
we're live to get people to come along. But I realized as I'm taking a photo of the stream, I'm on my phone, so I'm like looking down. But
well, we're gonna talk about Halloween H20, but yes, we are dressed as Loomis because we love Loomis very, very much. You got some red wine because lots of people say that Donald Pleasance loved his red wine on set. I made sure to have a shitty little gun repurposed from my Arn Anderson costume. He's evil.
You've got to make sure he has the most unorthodox shooting style, but somehow actually does land the target quite a lot of the time.
I mean, Michael survived.
That target is indestructible.
And then maybe this will help me shoot nicer. Is I don't have red wine, but I got a flask in my jacket.
Okay,
so I'm ready to.
What's in it?
Some whiskey.
Nice. What kind? Some rye?
Wiser's
Deluxe.
I think it was the nice stuff that I had. That like nice whiskey.
Oh, the one my mom got you.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
I think it's very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for Loomis night.
Sweet.
We're gonna have a fun time.
And you're sipping on some pumpkin whiskey.
You tell me what this is. I don't know.
I found this pumpkin spice whiskey, and I thought, oh, that sounds good. That sounds seasonal. However, it's very sweet. I'd say it's a lot of butterscotch in there. I think that would be good for like a Burt Reynolds, you know, mixed with some spice. Right, it needs to be mixed. I think.
Yeah, I'm having it over ice.
But we did a shot of it, and it tasted just like a shooting syrup. So I think ice helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Halloween cocktails and everything like that. You got what, a pumpkin spice martini later tonight?
I do. Yes.
Very excited. But yes, happy Loomis night. Happy Halloween wherever you may be. You can check out lots of our other horror movie reviews over on our patreon.com/poisonrana. For $5 to become a friend, you get access to hundreds of different podcasts, including tons of horror movies. We just did The Blair Witch. We just did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've done a bunch of other ones, Halloween Havocs, and so much more. So if you like what you hear, please go check us out. And chop-cheese.com/poisonrana for the very spooky, very horrific Lucha Frog of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
The new merch drop there that we put out with lots and lots of fun stuff, different hats and toques and shirts and even kid sizes now. So
nice.
Awesome.
So get your kids involved. Look how beautiful that t-shirt is.
Yeah,
love it.
It's amazing. So that's how you can support your boys. Your Loomises.
Yeah. Whatever we decide is the plural of Loomis. Shoot it in the comments. What is the plural of Loomis? What is, you have a murder of crows. Do we have a murder of Loomis?
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. Or just someone, our friend Graham's going to come as Malcolm McDowell. Loomis.
Well, I think we've got two Malcolm
McDowell.
I think Aussie Chris might be favoring the Malcolm.
And then we got our boy Big Tom.
That would have been easier for me. I could have
McDowell
dyed my hair. You know,
you could have put whatever you put on your beard in that.
But then I wouldn't be able to do my costume that I'm doing tomorrow if I did that. Yeah, so true. This is economical.
So hopefully now we're aiming for 10 Loomises.
Yes,
we'll see if we get there. But we got Big Tom, who's dressed as Michael Myers. He looks like Michael Myers.
He's about 10 foot tall. Yeah.
So he'll
shape.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm sure we'll have a few other costumes that float in and out. So definitely looking forward to this.
A Dexter of Loomis, Dickie Bird is suggesting.
Dexter Loomis, that would have been a great costume. Or Billy Loomis from Scream.
Billy Loomis.
I think Loomis. Yeah, there's another one that it comes from. Is there a tie into Psycho too? I forget, but yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
There's lots of them.
There's a lot of tie-ins to Psycho in this film.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Halloween water.
So let's just be clear here, okay? We left off Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, right?
Paul Rudd.
Young
Paul Rudd.
we watched 2 different films last year because there's 2 different cuts. But wasn't I think my favorite one was where Loomis looks down on his arm and he's got he's been cursed. He's got the scar of
the grudge.
Thorn. Was it the Thorn
right.
trilogy?
Oh, yeah.
The Man in Black was walking away. There's a big explosion. I'm pretty sure there was also a version with it looked like the Freemasons with Michael just chilling, like with them all, like all those people in the robes.
They like were behind him or something.
Yeah, and he's just like chilling there with a sacrifice of the girl or whatever.
Right,
it was very, very odd, but
yeah.
a lot of lore going on in the Thorn trilogy.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of those ones. They don't have the most rewatch value for me. Like 6 is something I don't necessarily throw on. I'd say maybe out of 4, 5, and 6, maybe 4 is my favorite because it's like the newest. Like it's the attempt at this new story, and then it really gets a little bit like dragged out and cheaper. Whereas, so happy that this movie here today doesn't connect with any. For the first time, not the last time in this franchise, that they'll be like, "Hey, you remember all those movies? Yeah, it didn't happen. We made it up."
Okay, well, I think this is going to be an interesting review.
Okay,
then.
Did you watch a different movie then?
I watched Resurrection.
Yeah, next year we'll do Busta Night.
Is that another Busta Rhymes film?
Isn't he in?
He's in the next one, yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Who says
trick or treat, motherfucker. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yes, the full title of this movie, Halloween H20, 20 years later, and it's not Halloween Oxygen because it's H20, H20. This one,
right,
rather than the O, the letter O.
Yeah. Still weird name.
H2O has the best ring to it, though, right?
Does it? Like, why? What is it? People right away think water, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 0 or an O, and then you're like calling it that because someone was like, "It's called H2O."
I feel though this is 1998. I feel everything around this time we're moving to the new millennium. Everything was. I'm surprised we didn't get Halloween 2000. You know, that kind of thing. Everything was dates and numbers and X's and Z's. Could have been Halloween.
I mean, so Halloween 6, the last one we did was 1995. And in just a few years, like things have changed. Like the 90s have fully like kicked in. You had Scream. You had like Scream 2.
Scream 1 and 2.
Like think those are 2 big movies that set the tone of everything else, like horror wise, I think, for the 90s, which is paying homage to Halloween. So they have like they're like, hey, that's popular right now. And fuck it, we started this shit, so let's crank another one out.
It's a bit like Inception, like film within a film within a film, because Scream, obviously inspired by Halloween, lots of Halloween references in Scream, and then this movie here is taking a lot of stuff from Scream. You know, this is set in like a boarding school in California, very like Halloween. Scream 2 is all on campus for most of it, and even Kevin Williamson, the writer of Scream, was involved with this movie, kind of overseeing it. Didn't get a writer's credit on it though, which apparently he was a little miffed by. But the Weinsteins made him an executive producer, but he had his hands on it. So there's references to Scream within this film, as well as like in Scream 1, we see them watching Halloween. In this one, we see them watching Scream.
Yeah, I think they're watching Scream 2.
Scream 2.
With Buffy in it.
Yes,
right?
That's right. Yeah, Sarah Michelle.
And a weird bit of trivia that I've also found is that is edited in. And the movie they were actually watching was Mike Myers in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Okay.
They thought that would be a funny joke. And then someone's like, well, actually, like in Scream, they're watching Halloween. And they went, oh, fuck.
So we should do it the other way around.
I mean, Mike Myers in a Halloween movie never happened, but that would be pretty good. Like one reveal and it's him. He's like, yeah, I actually been me the whole time. That wouldn't be that bad.
You also have in this film the person playing the Shape, playing Michael Myers, is the same actor who plays the body of Ghostface in Scream 2.
That's pretty crazy.
Getting his name,
like to play both Michael Myers and Ghostface is 2 very like iconic masks figures in horror. So.
But apparently there were multiple different versions of this film to start with. Like they wanted to do a continuation of Halloween 6. They wanted to continue that story.
So glad they didn't. Like that needed to be cut. Like sometimes you need to just start fresh. And I think other franchises and properties don't have look, I'm not saying this is Citizen Kane, even though I kind of think that movie is overrated, but they need to be able to just cut and move. You need to be able to be like, you know what? Can we just forget we did that actually? Like, because it sucked. And let's pretend it didn't happen and reset with resetting from after Halloween 2. So you're still counting 2 movies, but you're skipping a whole other thing. And then they take this idea and they completely do it again with Halloween 2018 and pretend that even this movie never happened and continue on. So like, it's not a bad idea to be like, actually, those few movies that we did, we could just pretend that didn't happen. In your box sets and your streaming services, no one buys box sets anymore. I guess you could still upload all of them, but people would be like, oh, that's this timeline, this time. This Halloween franchise has like multiple different timelines, which is just crazy.
I mean, I would say this one is, it could theoretically be a continuation because we learn that Laurie has faked her death, that she's got a new name and all that. And obviously Laurie isn't in the Thorn trilogy.
Yeah.
And we know Michael keeps coming back from the dead anyway. So technically it could, like, you could see this film as a continuation, but just it's taking place in a different location with different characters and all that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Now I'm more like, I would like them to try to make it work. I think there is a way where you could maybe make this a continuation of 6 and kind of move away from a bit of the stupid stuff. But I don't know. I've got a little bit of a soft spot for 4, 5, and 6, and I enjoy the attempt of a bit of a an arc going through. Why is Michael indestructible and evil and all this sort of stuff? So I appreciated that. I'm going to be honest, rewatching this, I thought I was going to like this one a lot more than I did. And I was severely disappointed. Severely disappointed. In my head, I've been going, and maybe it's because one of the first Halloweens I watched when I was like a kid. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is the good one. I don't necessarily think that.
This is also like the first one I remember watching like full on as a kid. It must have been at a sleepover Halloween party or something where a friend is like, hey, we rented this. And if this is 98, I'm like 7 when this is out, and watching it around that time when it was on VHS and being like, whoa, look, because it was modern, right? It was like Scream. It was like all those things. And it wasn't until I got a little bit later, older, saw they were on TV and started realizing, oh, there's all these other ones, and realized the like importance of like the first one and how awesome it is. But this H2O is the first one. So it always has like a little soft spot in my heart, but I maybe rewatched it for the first time like 3 years ago. And then oddly enough, it was on TV last year. So I watched it again last year as well. And it made me go, oh, I had like little kid lenses for this one, because in 98 or 2000, I was like, what? Yes, Michael Myers, this guy's killing people. And then now watching it as an adult, I'm like, hey, why is Michael Myers got like drag queen eyebrows on?
Yeah.
What's going on with
it's that? The wide eyes of this
What's mask. Going on with this mask?
It's the mask, the eye holes are cut way too wide. So you kind of see his eyelids,
eyelashes
like around it. So which makes it's interesting because you see, and maybe I don't know if it's deliberate because they're really trying to tell the story of, you know, Laurie being his sister and that kind of stuff. So to see more of the human face underneath, whereas most of the time it's just these black holes of eyes.
You don't see him.
So I wonder if it was like an attempt to humanize him a little bit, but it just looks like someone bought a cheap Michael Myers mask.
Yeah,
right?
Like there's so much stories about how they had to do reshoots and even like animate some of the mask in some scenes and like switch it out and everything. And it's like you still ended up with this mask. Like how awful is this? We complained about the last few movies of them, but this one's got like wide eyes cut out. It's
the old bed hair as well, right?
The hair, the eyebrows,
like
drawn
Michael's
on.
just woken up, and
I think of like the old lady working at the nail salon has the drawn on eyebrows. That's what this mask looks like. It looks like they just drew them on. So
Michelle Williams is similar in this too.
Yeah. It's just very strange that like this is what you ended up with.
Yeah.
Like I think the premise of this like is pretty good, and the story of it is really good. The execution. It's also very dated.
I'd argue with you, but we'll get into that for sure.
I definitely looked up this guy who wrote it, Robert Zappia, who apparently is the one who they're like, hey, we own Halloween. If you ever want to come up with a script for this, like fucking go for it. So he's like, fuck yeah. All right. So he started working on a script, and he came up with the boarding school idea and just said, what if he forgets about everything else and just wants to kill kids at a boarding school? They're like, sick, great. And then there was talks about Jamie Lee maybe coming back for the 20th anniversary. And then that changed the whole script completely.
It was going to be a copycat killer.
Right.
And
which
I believe
could make more sense.
I believe the killer they had in mind is the friend, the
friend
kid
with
the giant nose.
The kid from Jumanji.
And that was the original thing, which is interesting because if you've seen Halloween Ends, they're kind of telling that story of a copycat killer or a Michael Myers apprentice sort of thing. So they're going for that, but then they realized, well, if we could get Jamie Lee Curtis on board, that because it was going to go, I think, straight to video.
Yeah.
And well, if we get Jamie Lee Curtis involved, we can promote this as a bigger thing. And they get her involved, and she originally only wants to do it if John Carpenter comes back, Deborah Hill. And John Carpenter said, yes, I'll do it, but my pay is $10 million. And they're like, absolutely not. And they go, well, it's kind of back payment for the amount of money you've made off of my thing.
We talked like original Halloween, very independent movie. It went on to become huge, obviously spawns franchises, merchandise. Like he didn't necessarily get the biggest cut of that, even though this is all somewhat his creation. So then he pulled out, and then Jamie Lee Curtis felt she owed it to the horror fans because think she's made a killing in conventions and that kind of thing, and everyone's still loving this movie. So she came back but wanted it to be a definitive end, and basically, yes, ignore 4 through to 6 or 3 through to 6, if you will, and have this as the end of the trilogy and wrapping it all up. Yeah, which is, I understand that. And I think if John Carpenter was involved, we would have got maybe a better movie. Maybe not. He's made some stinkers too, but I think his heart would have like really been in it with Deborah Hill, like Carpenter and Jamie Lee. Like I think they could have cooked something up a lot. And maybe she just didn't want to back out. Scouring different clips and interviews and stuff, like she said mixed things about it and then kind of has backtracked and is like, it's still a fun movie. Like she said it's a good movie, not a great movie. So it's like, okay, cool. But she also got a fat ass check for it. So like you knew they paid her well to have her. I mean, look at the money it took to make some of the 4, 5, and 6 and what it like got them back. Not a lot. Whereas this one, they made like more than double, if not triple what they actually put into it. They could have put the 10 mil into John Carpenter and probably made even more money, but it's a big what if. Like, hey, what if that they actually went with that instead? And a big what if some of the script was altered there. And then, oddly enough, years later, they will forget all these other movies happened and then have a trilogy where in the last movie, they use this guy being like a killer as well and focusing on this, which fans did not like. So on rewatch, H20 might not hold up the way it did when I was like 10 or 12 or whatever, but would you rank it higher than Halloween Ends?
I'd have to watch Halloween Ends again. I might put it lower from memory, and Halloween Ends annoyed me, but I think there was more I liked about Halloween Ends than this movie.
I think we're ranking way before we even get into the review. I think I'd put H20 over 4, 5, and 6.
I wouldn't. I 100% wouldn't now.
Okay.
The cast for this is great, by the way.
Like, I mean, not only you got Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like, come on, it's Jamie Lee Curtis in the 90s. We've all seen True Lies.
Yeah.
Come on. But on top of that, the movie introduces Josh Hartnett, who I think he's trapped somewhere right now, but he's doing well, right? He's still making things. He's a big name. He became a huge thing. And then you got the king. We need to really make this money out of this movie. Let's cast Shark Fin himself, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J, indeed. Yeah.
Somewhere he's licking his lips right now.
But you've got Oscar winner Michelle Williams in this film. You got
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even. Who is that? The friend?
She's the blonde friend. Yeah, with the crazy eyebrows.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this film.
Yeah.
Janet Leigh makes a cameo in this film.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like,
it's a pretty stacked cast, and maybe if they spent more money on kills than the cast, I might enjoy this film a bit more.
Yeah, it's it's I'd still put it above 4, 5, and 6. And I feel like on rewatch, I definitely don't like this movie as much as I did as a kid. But I still think the rewatch value on this is higher than definitely 5 and 6. 6 was really tough watch, so I don't know. But it had Paul Rudd.
I just want to say Chris Durand is the guy who plays Michael Myers and Ghostface.
Right. Okay.
Film, so
amazing. Yeah. That's that
just
guy.
to name check him.
That guy
he does.
yeah. What's his name?
Chris Durand.
I'm sure he makes a killing at fan expos and stuff like that. Because wouldn't you? Like you're both Scream and Michael in one of the best Michael films.
Yeah.
Not according to you. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about Halloween H20, 20 years later, directed by Steve Miner, who I looked up also didn't do a whole lot after this. Like he does a lot of TV. He did direct Friday the 13th Part 2, the one with Jason with a bag on his head. We have reviewed that on the Patreon. But nothing necessarily that kind of screams like, oh, amazing.
Screams.
Yeah. But
Bushby's asking where's the red wine, so I'm just
always got the red wine for Donald Pleasance, who is not in this movie. We hear the song Mr. Sandman as we cut to Langdon, Illinois, October 29th, 1998. A good year. What were you doing in 1998?
1998, I know I went to Disney that year.
Nice.
I had a couple of holidays that year. 98 was a great year.
98 was sick.
Yeah.
98, I was just living life as a little kid. We see Nurse Marion here that some people might recognize, right?
From the original?
The original nurse here. Nancy Stevens, I think. Is that who this is? Who plays her. So that's kind of cool that they got her back.
Yep.
We're doing this review. We're both dressed as Loomis. The big what if we're missing here. The discussion we need to start having is what if he was in this movie? It probably would have been a lot better. His character, like from the last one, he's kind of a joke in the last one. Like they overplay him, and it was
the cliffhanger at the end, wasn't it?
So if he was still alive when they made this movie, I think it would have been even more. I don't know what his role would have been, but he would have been swinging that gun around, Michael. But it's kind of sad. I think, man, they do a nice little like tribute kind of thing in the beginning, but what if he was around? What would he have done?
Or you could have had Loomis's son or brother or something like that. Some like a character somehow tied to Loomis who's trying to continue his work or something like that.
I guess they kind of do that with the nurse. Like that they try to show you here. So this nurse comes home and she notices her front door is ajar. It's open. Someone's broken into her house. So she freaks out. She goes to her neighbor's house. These two kids with hockey sticks, Jimmy, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And they call the cops and they say, hey, like, there's a B&E. So the cops say, we'll be there in 15 minutes. And the kids go, but we'll go and inspect it. She's like, hey, be careful. So Jimmy goes into the house by himself and he looks around and he sees her office has been like thrown around, like destroyed. There's files everywhere, papers everywhere. And then he opens the fridge, steals a few beers, and then like a ironing board falls over. So it scares him and he swings his hockey stick, destroys her kitchen, and then realizes no one's even in the house. So he tells her, hey, everything's fine. But I think as you kind of see her go back into the house, you do see Michael like walk by. And I mean, the first premise of the plot is what is going on. He's looking for the files of Loomis's nurse. Therefore, he's looking for something. Therefore, somehow he's going to find where Laurie is, I guess, is what the story is. But she goes back into the house. No one's there. And then she thinks she sees like a shape move by. So she freaks out like, nope. So she leaves the house, goes back into the kid's house and says, Jimmy. And as she turns the couch around, Jimmy's got his ice skate in his face as she screams. And then she turns around to Mikey, this kid, and he's been slashed in the throat. And then the cops show up, but they go to her house. So she's screaming as Michael Myers appears, and she's fighting with him. She tries to fight him off, but eventually he slashes her throat as like the cops are like in the other house, and then they see the broken window, so then they go over there. But as they're going over there, you see the car, just like the original movie, like pull out of the driveway and just drive off.
So we get the first sighting of Michael. I think it's 9 minutes in, and 3 kills already, right? I was disappointed with the first reveal of him. I think in a lot of the movies, and especially movies made today, you build up for the reveal of the first time, whether it's even like a Marvel movie, and the first time the guy's transformed into the villain and it's a slow pan up and then suddenly you see the face. This is just Michael doop-be-doop, like walk past the camera, not overly dramatic. And both, like all three kills, well, two of them are off camera and the third one isn't particularly violent. And I'd say, okay, the first one isn't overly violent, but it's suspenseful, the movie. Whereas the later ones, we've got into seeing more creative kills. And it felt a bit PG, this opening, for me.
I think, I mean, that's a good point, because they're definitely gearing towards like your Scream fans, who are these teens who love the slashers and stuff like that. You have LL Cool J, Josh Hartnett, who isn't famous yet, but he's, going to be. You said Michelle Williams as well. So that's probably why, but you're right.
Scream has really
Scream is way more violent. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely feels a bit more PG, because I feel like you don't see a lot of the kills in this movie, right?
No.
That's a complaint we have in horror movies.
It feels like a TV edit of the film, you know?
Yeah. I like the skate in the face.
The ice skate to the face was cool.
But imagine you saw him doing it.
Would have been cool to see it, yeah.
And then going back to the mask, like this guy looks like a joke. I wouldn't be scared of this guy.
But also we have no explanation of how he's how does Halloween 2 end?
Well, that's what these cops are here for, because it cuts before we even go to the intro. These two cops go to the murder scene, and this is totally dialogue to give you the exposition of, hey, just to let you know what's going on here, to set the scene. Their dialogue is pretty much like, we're just going to talk as if we're like tough cops explaining the story to each other so that the audience understands. So they recap everything, like, oh, Marion, the nurse, huh? Like, yeah, it's about that Michael Myers guy. Yeah, I saw a story of Loomis on 60 Minutes. This is his nurse. What would you don't think? No. And then he's like, let me give a call. So he basically goes through the whole story, like killed these many people, then killed these people. He hasn't been seen. They make sure they say he has not been seen. So they skip over 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
And then say, yeah, but that Halloween night, they never found his body, saying he burned alive at that hospital. But they never found his body. And then Michael Myers, yeah, right. And then he closes the door as the credits hit. Oh man, 1998.
I found it a really lazy opening. Like some of the others are, I know they're hokey. I always think, is it 5? It's either beginning of 5 or 6, where the end of the last film he blows up in a barn, and then the next one is him like crawling out and then like lazy rivering down the river.
Oh, God,
and it's so funny, but at least you've shown us like this is how we got away.
Right.
Just somehow the Emperor's returned. That's kind of the feeling I got with this.
They never really explain it, but here he is. We see a whole intro here with the Halloween theme playing. It's kind of focusing over her room with all the like newspaper clippings and
all the history of Michael and all that.
So you get Dr. Loomis' face appears here, but not quite his voice. They got a voice actor to fill in the. This
is what's so funny. So they couldn't get the audio somehow. From the original film.
I looked back from what they're looking for. It has the piano attached to it, and they couldn't separate it. They couldn't. Peter Jackson. Lucas, Peter Jackson couldn't help them out yet.
It's just so funny because it's like today, I could do that in 5 minutes.
Right.
Like. Isolate the clip, run it through an audio remover. Like we have something on this stream right now, which is pulling background noise away from us talking.
So it's just funny.
It's just really funny that he's dead. We can't strip this audio away. I mean, you could have maybe incorporated the piano into the score somehow, maybe. I don't know. But yes, he sounded pretty good. He sounded pretty accurate.
He sounded very like him. So I like this little nod to Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance here. Like, hey, you're no longer with us, but we kind of wish you were. So this is us tipping our cap to you. So respect to Donald Pleasance. So we see introducing Josh Hartnett. We see, I like how it says, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jimmy. It's like, we don't really, he's already dead.
He's dead already, yeah.
Why is that a thing in movies? Like this guy, they have his intro for like, as if he's going to be in the rest of the film after this.
It's often to do with your contract and your pay.
Right.
So that's why often you'll have take Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for instance. Sarah Michelle Gellar is always the first name on the credits.
Yeah.
But then the last name is either and or with Anthony Head for Giles, because he was the bigger name when it started. And in later seasons, it's with Alison Hannigan, because she's done American Pie and is a bigger name.
Billing and everything.
So it's billing for sure. It's why you often see, and it drives me crazy, when you have a poster of, say it's Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro be on the left and Al Pacino on the right, and then the names will be Al Pacino on the left and Robert De Niro on the right. And it's to be equal and billing wise. So this is like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I assume was doing, what was his show? 30 Rock. That would have started by now, right?
Yeah.
I think it was a way of being like, and we had this guy as famous. He's famous, and here's his cameo.
Well, I know Josh Hartnett goes on to be pretty popular. Like, everyone loved him.
Yeah, what did he do?
I can't really. There's a movie where he's like No Nut November, where he's just like.
I don't think I've seen him in much. I know the name, but
yeah, I feel like girls loved him back in the day. So
Pearl Harbor. Right. Oh, he's in Oppenheimer as well.
Yeah, like he's had a bit of a renaissance with that trap movie.
Black Hawk Down.
The one they filmed, we watched them film this movie like multiple days in a row, and it was the Josh Hartnett movie, M. Night Shyamalan. But yeah, we see a schoolroom with the headmistress sign saying Carrie Tate, and the camera pans around this classroom, and it's like someone's approaching. There's an open window, and we see Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen herself, awakens from a nightmare screaming. And Josh Hartnett, her son John, tends to her like, Mom, it's okay. So she's having nightmares. Filling us in here is she's moved to California, at Summer Glen, California, and she's changed her name to Carrie Tate, and she faked her death via car crash. That was one of the newspaper clippings that we saw. So she started a whole new life, but she still has the PTSD and the trauma from that one fateful Halloween night.
Yes. Third Rock from the Sun, not 30 Rock, by the way. I was thinking exactly the same thing. I meant
the same thing.
No, I was thinking the same thing, yes.
30 Rock from the Sun.
Which started in 96. So, yeah, he'd have been known by now.
Right.
Now, this is one of the things where I wonder if it's scripts being, like, kind of mixed up, like rewritings, because they didn't necessarily need to explain that she's faked her death and moved away and that kind of thing. Like she could have moved away, but that's very in line. That almost feels like we're trying to honor 4, 5, and 6 because we know we said she died in a car accident or something.
Okay.
So this bit kind of feels like it could tie into that.
Okay.
But then there's lines like the police saying, he hasn't been seen for 20 years. Yeah. That you go, where I kind of feel that's where I'm like, yes, you could essentially do a soft reboot here but still honor everything that's happened. You know, have a bit of a better explanation how Michael is out and about, and have Laurie having faked her own death, and just ignore Thorne and Danielle Harris and all that. And then both would work. You wouldn't have the fans like myself going, but hey, what about the last series you did?
Yeah.
But also it feels like a fresh start where you can, Laurie's story is continuing in this trilogy.
So in your perfect world, all the timelines are in one timeline.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. You could make
there's a way it works.
Like there's completely you'd have to ignore Resurrection. That's the only thing.
How could you
But you could technically go 1 through to 7 and then Halloween 2018.
Okay. I don't know. I like that they like give this timeline. It's funny because also the cops go, well, he's got to be old now, and then one cop's like, nah, he was young when he did those. Like he was only like 20.
So he's 41 now.
Yeah, he'd only be 40 in this movie. Think in 2018, this old guy is still fucking after this. Yeah. This lady.
I mean, he's essentially Billy Gunn, right? He's like 62 in the new ones.
They give him that
and jacked as fuck and still not putting over the young kids. Like,
yeah. So her son gives her meds and is like, Mom, come on, enough with these shenanigans. But it's October 31st, Halloween in Summer Glen, California, and her son John is like, hey, Mom, you got to move on. And she's like, no, and he's like, well, I'm going to this trip class trip to Yosemite. So he's a student and she's the headmaster at this school for kids. And she's like, no, you're not going. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, I'll take you camping, but especially today, you're not leaving. Sorry. And he's like, well, like, that's your problem. And I don't want to be associated with that. So she's pretty upset that like has this issue and now it's affecting her relationship.
Which is very similar in a way to the Laurie we see in the 2018, where she's, again, a functioning alcoholic, has clearly been training in her time off in case Michael comes back, super protective of her kids, where it comes to a detriment to their relationship and kind of their kids being free and enjoying their childhood. So similarities there between the two. And I believe it was a lot of stuff that Jamie Lee Curtis wanted in the script. She was like, okay, I'm coming back, but I want to show that this woman's been through 20 years of hell, basically, and trying to get over this. And I mean, she's a great actress. And I think so many people in horror films would just be like, whatever, it's a paycheck. Whereas I think it shows a care of her character where she's like, no, what would realistically someone who had
this happen to them,
everyone they know murdered, and it would fuck up their life and they would be a mess 20 years later. Yeah.
And I think early parts of the script I was reading that they wanted her not to be like successful. They kind of wanted her to be like a bit more in shambles and maybe like not have a job and everything. But she's like, nah, fuck that. Laurie's going to be like, she survived. She's a final girl, you know? So I did like that. And it is right. Like in the Halloween 2018, they have similarities to the characters. They're the same character, but not in the same
50 years later, 40 years later, rather.
Like it's not in the same timeline. No. So it's interesting.
Apparently Josh Hartnett, which is interesting because this is his first film, really was against this character being just a heartthrob, like a teen heartthrob. So he cut his own hair. He deliberately made his hair look kind of shitty. When there wasn't a take, he'd wear a beanie to, you know, when you're wearing a hat and but your hair goes kind of wonky or whatever.
Yeah.
So deliberately kind of wanted to look a bit off as well.
Yeah. He has like, so does him and Michael must have traded beauty secrets in this movie on set. So they're at this private school and he's not allowed to go to Yosemite. You see him during the day. He's got his girlfriend. Is this Michelle Williams?
The blonde?
Yeah. And then he's got his buddy who's in Jumanji. But like when Robin Williams is a kid in Jumanji, that's this guy. Yeah. So this guy could have been.
Robin Williams grew into the nose, didn't he?
Yeah. This kid could have been the killer in this movie.
Yeah.
That's right. He was
Corey. Whatever.
He's basically Corey. In the house. We see this kid makes an orgy joke, says, what do you mean you're not going to Yosemite? And he's like, yeah, like my mom won't let me. So he's like, well, what if we all stay back and just have our own party and fuck, you know, horny teenagers. So the trend, even though 20 years later, is horny teenagers will die. It's probably what's going to happen here. You hear that, kids? Hear that? We see a rest area somewhere across the United States. And we see this woman pull up in a truck, a really beat up truck. Does not fit the description of this lady. Like, why does she have this truck? But anyways, she got this little kid and the kid needs to pee. So she takes her into this restroom and the daughter needs to pee. But then she like opens the door. It's empty. And then someone walks in and steals her purse. Her daughter screams. She goes to check, but she saw a spider. And you see Michael kind of leave you see him through the like peek holes of, you know, when you're in a washroom stall and someone walks by.
Only in America, these like huge gaps in the cubicles, right?
Yeah.
This they sort of recreate in the 2018 Halloween.
Yeah.
With the journalist,
I remember,
right?
There's something
where she's
similar.
Trapped in a bathroom. Very, very similar to this. So I wonder if that was a bit of a homage.
Again, there is similarities with certain things. You know, this is a good part because this doesn't like show you a gory death. In fact, there is no death here, but you as a viewer, you're wondering, hey, is he going to kill this little kid?
Yeah.
What the fuck? You can't do that.
It's almost the kid saves the woman, right?
Yeah.
Because the little kid's there, because she's singing and stuff while he's in there. So he knows there are people in the washroom.
Right.
He's also going to the women's washroom, right?
No, they go into the men's.
Oh, they go into the men's, right.
Yeah.
So it's almost that because the kid's there, he doesn't kill.
But I think that kind of makes it a bit more suspenseful because you're like, hey, we were never planning for this guy to harm a child in this movie, but you're the sicko for thinking it.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
watch
mean,
him.
I watched the last 3 movies,
And he's
where
chasing a kid.
his niece.
He's chasing
So,
a little kid.
um,
Yeah, maybe we're sick of him chasing little kids. That's probably why.
But yeah, I like the shot of her looking through the little crack in the door to see him. I thought it was pretty suspenseful, and it's the 90s because Bart Simpson graffiti all over.
El Barto?
Yes,
very nice. So Michael steals her keys and steals her car and drives off. So the lady's kind of like not even mad about it. Like, okay, like that's okay because you didn't kill me and my daughter. So yeah, we see Carrie Tate, or Lori, back at the school. She's with her counselor who looks a little familiar. More on that later. And then her guidance counselor here, like a coworker. When they go into the room, they start making out.
Oh,
this is
sexy.
Who is this? Adam Arkin.
Is this Alan's kid?
Will Brennan is the character, but Adam Arkin, who I recognize from, is it 8 Simple Rules? I think he was in, but I recognize him from a bunch of.
Oh, he is Alan Arkin's kid. Okay, rest in peace.
Really?
Yeah,
that's wild. I didn't put that together, but yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for this.
Because when the credits were coming up at the beginning, I thought it said Alan Arkin, and I was like, "Oh, he's in this film." And then
you're like, "Where was he?"
Yeah.
He gives me like, I don't want to say Timu George Clooney, but he's in that ballpark. Like,
oh yeah, I see what you mean.
But he's got a charm.
Yeah.
So they're making out and going at it. It looks like Lori and Will here have a bit of a relationship that they keep secret and say, "Hey, why don't we get lunch today?" And she's a little on edge because it's Halloween, but she agrees that she'll meet him for lunch. And we then see the security guard. LL Cool J.
What?
He's on the phone to his wife back home, and he's reading her his newest edit of his upcoming romance novel that he's working on. I love that this was like a side character.
Yeah.
Not just a security guard played by LL, a security guard played by LL who also writes romance novels.
It's kind of, subverting the thoughts of what this character could be, right? Isn't he like calling his wife the whole time to read?
He's reading her succulent. He
extract
moves his hands up to her succulent melon breast.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Melons? What are you talking about, melons?" And he's like, "Yeah, never mind." And he's like trying to fix things, and he's like editing his romance sex novels. When John scares him by accident, he's like, "Oh, don't scare me like that." And he says, "Can you please let me and my friend out because we want to get some stuff for our girlfriends?" And first Ronnie here, LL, licks his lips and says, "No, absolutely not." And then finally he's like, "Come on, man, it's for a girl." And LL's like, "Yeah, all right." And you hear his wife like, "Ronnie, don't you get it?" And then he like kind of hangs up the phone. So he lets him go. He says, "Don't make me regret this." And then he ends with, "And comb your hair," which apparently was an ad lib because he's like, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing with your hair, Josh Hartnett?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, like he kept on making it deliberately.
Comb your hair. Coming from a bald man, LL Cool J.
It's such a weird. I mean, he's still a good-looking kid here, but it's such an interesting decision because you would think your first movie, you'd want to come out of it as a heartthrob, teenage heartthrob, and get more and more films off of it. But,
I think he like did all right, but
yeah.
We see they go to town, but also Lori is in town for her date here with Will. So they're at a lunch spot at the window drinking some wine, just like Donald Pleasance. And she's talking to him about like trauma, and he's like, "Have you tried therapist?" She's like, "There's things that you don't know about me. Like I've tried every sort of therapy and everything, meds and everything, and it just doesn't go away." And he's like, "Well, like I'm a good listener, and like no matter what it is, I think we could get through it." So he's being a nice guy, this Will. And he goes to the washroom, and she like asks the waiter, like, "Hey, can you get me another glass of Chardonnay?" And he looks, and it's a full glass. She's like, "Today?" Chugs it. What if someone said that to you? You'd be like, "Yo,
fuck off. Bill, get out of here."
So she chugs the Chardonnay. This guy brings her another one. She like sips it to get back at the level. And then Will comes back. She's like, "Oh yeah." So she's an alcoholic.
She is. Yeah.
She's going through it, guys. She's seen some shit. This Lori.
Loomis may not be around anymore, but he is in spirit or wine.
Chardonnay. Chardonnay is a good wine.
Yeah,
it's okay
if you like it. Yeah.
So John and his friend Jumanji Kid, they rob a liquor store. At least the friend does, and he steals a bunch of alcohol for later because they're party with their girlfriends. when they're talking about like he's actually talking. John's like, "Yo, my mom's fucking crazy," and then they run into his mom. So she's like, "Hey, Simon, what the hell are you guys doing here? Like, how'd you get out?" And he's like, "Oh, we just went to get some off-campus lunch." And she's like, "No, you don't do that. So get in the car, Simon." And then when the kid gets in the car, she yells, "What the fuck are you thinking?" And just yells at him. And Josh Hartnett here,
he's like, "I don't appreciate that language."
Yeah. He basically says it's been 17 years. Michael Myers is dead, and I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Yeah. Basically, yeah, like pretty standard of what the dialogue could be is like, "What the fuck are you doing? You know I don't like Halloween." And he's like, "Mom, Michael Myers is dead." It's like a little over dramatic.
I actually thought it was pretty well acted between the two.
Actors,
and I think this a lot of the time through the film where the material isn't great, but I could really see Jamie Lee Curtis and Josh Hartnett trying to make the most of this and just really trying to get across that Laurie is fucked up from this, and it is putting a strain on her relationship with her kids.
I mean, Academy Award winning and Emmy winning just from this last 2 years, Jamie Lee Curtis. So fantastic. I do always love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's great. So she drives them back, and then she kind of yells at Ronnie here, like, "Ronnie, what the fuck, man?" But you do see in the background Michael's car, that old car he stole from the truck stop area. So he's nearby. He's lurking. We see John is now flirting with his girlfriend in class, and they're setting up a date. He's like, we're not going to Yosemite, but tonight's gonna be great. And then at one point during class, I think Michelle here, she sees Michael like outside, and she's like looks around like, "What is that?" It's kind of Scream. It's kind of Halloween original, and I think they're talking about Frankenstein in class or something like that. Finally, Laurie is like, "Hey, John, actually, you can go to Yosemite. You're right. I've been acting crazy. Here you go." And he's like, "Oh, fuck. Thanks, Mom. Thank you. Really great." So he runs off and tells his friends, "Yeah, I'm going to Yosemite." And they're like, "Are you?" "Nope." So still going to party with his friends.
Yeah.
This is when we get a very interesting scene. We see the assistant here to the headmaster of Jamie Lee Curtis, Norma, played by Janet Leigh.
Yeah.
Some may recognize her as the woman in Psycho, as you can hear a bit of
the original Scream Queen.
Yeah, the score plays here at one point, but also some people might recognize her as Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Yes.
Which is just amazing that they have this not only in a movie together, but in a scene together. And I completely forgot about this. I said I watched this like a year or two ago. And
her character name is Norma, which is the name
Norma
of
Bates.
The mom in Psycho.
I think her license plate even has something on it.
The same license plate,
the same
as
car,
the car from
the same everything, as the Psycho score kind of plays in the background there. And she kind of they have a bit of a back and forth about like what fighting things and surviving essentially. And like,
Norma's kind of looking out for her a bit.
Just awesome that you have this. Like, not only is Jamie Lee Curtis known for Halloween, but her mom known for Psycho, and to have them in together. I wondered, like, hey, they must have acted in things before, in movies before. Like, how cool would have this been to do this? But I've mentioned I've become a fan of the show Love Boat because we air it at work. And that show always brought in random celebrities. And one episode, Jamie Lee Curtis and Janet Leigh are on it together as a mother and daughter. And I'm like, what the hell? It was like filmed right after Halloween had like blown up and everything. Right. And they did an episode together. And that and this are like the two famous times a mother and daughter have done a show or movie together, which is just odd. I think you could have done more with her in this.
I think you could have had her.
I think you could have had her die.
Yeah.
In the shower.
In the shower. Yeah.
They really missed the boat.
Yeah.
Instead, she gets in her car and fucks up.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. This
I agree.
Ain't getting me. But pretty cool moment to have that. So we see the school buses are all leaving. All the kids leaving for Yosemite, except a few people. And this is when the buses leave and the doors open for the security. Michael's car's lights turn on and he drives in. So he's in the parameter now. He's past the gate.
Which is similar from the first Halloween where he's like slowly driving down the street, right?
Yes. So Michael somehow gets in here. Laurie gets spooked again. She gets scared easily here. We see Will is like, hey, I'm going to make rounds and then we'll have dinner together and hang out together since all the kids are gone. So she's like, okay. So Will is the father of one of the other daughters, I guess the friend's girlfriend.
I think so.
The
Yeah,
brunette.
the brunette.
This is when they're watching Scream 2, and there's a joke about how the girls are going to go roofie a bunch of men, which I thought was weird. And then he jokes about how he can't join them because he's going to go get his nipples pierced.
Yes.
Very odd father-daughter conversations in this.
Well, they're both just being like ridiculous, aren't they? Like, as if we're going to do this, that kind of thing.
So Lori and him meet up. She pours some more wine here for Don Pleasance, and she's trying to explain the trauma. And he's like, hey, like, I'm listening. Tell me what's up. Tell me your secrets. And she explains to him the story of Michael Myers and Halloween, and he recognizes it. He's like, oh, yeah, I know that story. We heard about that. You know, all these people died, blah, blah, blah. And then, didn't she die? And she's like, she faked her death.
Sorry, you're underselling this scene a bit, because they're having sexy time. They're making out. And he kind of takes this as she's role playing.
Foreplay, yeah.
Right? So she's like, yeah, I used to have a different name. Oh, yeah? What was your name?
What's your name, baby?
Lori. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Strode. Oh, yeah. And yeah, my brother killed my sister. Uh-huh. Yeah. Tell me more. Yeah. Slaughtered her. And then 17 years later, he came back. Uh-huh. Yeah. Mwah, mwah. Tell me more, baby. Yeah. And then he tried to kill me and he killed all my friends. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Are you? Yeah. This happened?
He also tried to kill my daughter.
Yeah. Like, no, this happened. And she's like, oh, shit. Okay. I actually thought it was pretty funny. And again, it was kind of one of those scenes where the actors were a little better than the material. But I kind of got a kick out of this
I think
scene.
at first he's like, oh, like, okay. And then like you're just fucking
it's
around.
also Halloween, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, you're telling me a scary story. And
yeah, I liked it because she does also explain this whole story again.
Yeah.
Again, if you're like not sure of what you're going, what's watching, because she explains like he got
this
out.
is who I am. This is what happened. Yeah.
So he's just like, huh, wow, he gets down boy real quick. He's just like, huh, interesting. Okay, that's a lot to take in. And then she's like, yeah, like, I don't know why he snapped. One day when I was 17, he just came after it. And then she looks. It was John's 17th birthday recently. She freaks out. Oh my God, he's gonna come after John. I gotta call him. It's like, what?
This is where I thought, again, it was just
a little lazy.
Yeah, lazy. Not enough thought put into it. He's been like, John is 17, but it's 20 years since Michael died. And why she just suddenly thinks, and it's not even like it's his 17th birthday. It's like he's recently turned 17, and she just
it's weird.
Realizes, oh, he's coming back.
Yeah, I thought that was just all of a sudden she's just. I guess it's showing that anything can. Like,
again, somehow Palpatine's back. Yeah. Right.
So we see the kids. They're all setting up their date because they all didn't go to Yosemite. So there's 4 of them, the 2 couples. Charlie, the friend here, says famous last words of, I'll be right back, as he goes to get some food. Sadly, he won't be. He finds a corkscrew for the wine. Again, shout out Donald Pleasance. They're drinking the wine for Loomis. But he drops it in a hand food processor thing. Yeah. Those were, I forget people had these.
It's in the sink. It's you put your waste in and it like blends it all up.
So he drops it in there and he's scared. He flicks the switch, it turns on, he's scared. It's similar to Michael in the washroom earlier. It's like letting your mind think, hey, are they gonna like grind this guy's hand up? Nope, they don't do that.
We don't have the budget to do that, so we'll let you think that this could happen.
But instead, Michael's gonna stab him.
Again, I groaned because it's not like we haven't had. If all the other films we'd seen didn't have creative deaths, I wouldn't be so mad.
Yeah,
but we've had, him. What is it, like the turning the hot tub up really high and plunging her face in it and stuff like that. We've had pretty gruesome deaths, and I found the tease. It reminded me there was a hospital drama in the UK called Casualty. And, it's like ER or Grays or whatever. And there was this one about this, I guess, hypochondriac. And he's in his kitchen and he sees a really sharp knife. And you see him just freaking out because he thinks he's going to touch the knife and hurt himself or whatever. And he's cowering away, cowering back, and accidentally sits on the gas cooker, which is on, sets himself on fire and falls out the window.
My God.
And it kind of felt a bit like this, where it's, okay, His hand's getting blended up here. It's getting blended up. It's getting... Oh, no, he got stabbed. Okay.
So he eventually puts his hand in the processor, gets the corkscrew, and as he does, Michael Myers appears behind him. And he's like, oh, who are you scaring me? Like he thinks it's his friend or something and realizes it's not. This is when it cuts back to his girlfriend, like, hey, where are you? Hello, you're supposed to get the corkscrew. Hello. And she's trying to find him. And she goes, Charlie, no sex games till I've eaten. And we've all heard that before, boys. We see her go into the next room. She finds Charlie sliced up in the food elevator, one of those
it's the dumb waiter.
The dumb waiter. Yeah, I forgot that's what it's called. Never understood. It's because they're dumb. It's kind of mean.
I guess it's like it's lazy in a way.
Call it a lazy lift.
Yeah.
Something like that. She finds Charlie. She starts to scream. When she turns around, Michael is there. And then Michael stabs her in the leg, but she like pulls the thingy. So the dumb waiter goes, I can't get over that. I was in the UK and I went to a restaurant and they had one. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
It's quite often in like hotels. Yeah. I feel in places like that.
Yeah. Like, wow. These things are great. These things are great for horror movies because she's trying to get away from it.
You always have like an elevator shaft thing, but this one.
So she like gets away from this, but then he eventually like cuts the cord.
No,
and then
she cuts it because she sees him looking up at her. So she cuts it to try and have it fall and slam on him, but he just moves away.
So eventually she like lands and then she like crushes her leg. So she's like injured from this like fall and then she's crawling, but then Michael pretty much steps on her head and then stabs her multiple times.
Yes.
So I guess the one death that we actually get to see here, maybe the second death that we're actually like seeing him literally do it, but it's not like he knows this girl. He's hate killing her here. Yeah. He's multiple stabbing her here. Very mean.
Well, she did try and kill him,
I guess. Yeah. It cuts to John and his girlfriend, Michelle Williams, listening to Creed.
Yes.
When they're interrupted. And he goes, what was that? He's like, oh, they're
just Creed.
Turns it up. Whoa, no.
With arms wide open or whatever.
So they go, we got to go check on them. They're trying to pull a prank on us. So him and his girlfriend go to try to find their friends. When they find their friend, the brunette here, strung up to a light bulb with like her insides taken out and a light bulb inside. What do you think of this? Michael up to his old tricks, hanging her with the light bulb.
I mean, it's something I do like about Michael. He doesn't have the witty one-liners of say a Freddy, but he is still a little bit theatrical, isn't he? The fact that he doesn't choose to run where he could run, he could he could easily kill these people sometimes, and then often chooses not to. You often see him, like in the washroom. I'm not going to kill you right now, that kind of thing. So I feel this is a little bit of the theatrics.
He's got a good sense of humor, that Mike Myers. Because here, I don't know why he had to stab this poor girl multiple times and string her up to a light bulb, but he did. So he turned her into a lantern.
A Christmas tree.
Yeah, a little early. So they start to freak out and scream when they turn around and they see Michael. And John is like kind of like, wait a second, is this like who my mom's been warning me about for all these years? So they start to run and Michael chases him. They get out of this building and then they run. And then the girlfriend is like, what's going on? Why are we stopping? Which I was like, lady, what are you doing? When someone's like, yo, this guy's, she saw him. She saw your friend dead. Why are you stopping? And this causes them to be attacked by Michael yet again. He swipes at John's leg and then they start to run again. And Michael just casually walking. He doesn't give a fuck. I love that. Like, you know, they always say cool guys don't look at explosions. But look at this guy. Even in this dumb
That's what I mean. There's something. He's like a cat, isn't he? You know how a cat plays with its prey before killing it? Like it'll bat a mouse back and forth before it actually goes and eats it. He's kind of like that, where he wants them to be scared. He wants the fear to come out of them. He's not just bloodthirsty and just needs to kill. He gets pleasure from the game. He gets pleasure from the chase and that. And he knows here, like, I can just walk really slowly.
So he follows them, but they get to his apartment and they like close one of the doors, the gates, but then she drops the keys. So she's trying to get those. And then Michael's there. They come face to face with him. And then Michael grabs the keys. So they're banging on the door and Lori and Will are there. So they're like, oh, what's going on? So they open the door. They rush them inside. And as she closes the door, Laurie Strode comes face to face 20 years later with Michael Myers.
It's a nice shot through the window of the door, like so close but so far.
And then like she's like in shock,
Yeah.
like she's seen a ghost. Really, she's just like, "Fuck happened to your mask? Why do you look like that? You burned in a fire, and that's what happened to you? What? Why? What's with those eyebrows?"
Well, it's taken him 20 years, and this is the best. You don't have Amazon in 1998, right?
Yeah, but like
this is the best he could find.
They didn't
and it
sell
took him
William
20 years.
Shatner masks in the last 20 years that he could like inside out. But anyways, I think a memorable scene from this movie is Laurie and Michael Myers coming face to face again. Like I think it's in the trailer, it's in the like cover art and stuff like that. Like it's like, oh look, they're back together, and he's still chasing this chick. So she freaks out and she's like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do?" And she sees that he's been like stabbed. John's been stabbed, and she puts them in like a closet, her son and the boyfriend, and she's with Will. And he's like, "What do we do? What do we do?" Try to live. I got a big fucking pop out of this one. Try to live.
There's multiple times in this film. She's like Danny DeVito in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where she's just like, she has taken over from Loomis.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
It's just like,
where is this fucking
there
guy?
it is. There's my gun.
Yeah. Oh man, so funny. What do we do? Try to live. Fuck yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. I howled laughing and it was like, yeah, fuck yeah. So they go and they see LL Cool J, Ronnie. He's been stabbed. Can you believe that? Even Ronnie's been stabbed here. Kind of upsetting. The last time we talked about LL Cool J in a horror movie, he got eaten by a shark.
Wait, no, they shoot him, or is that later?
Later on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck, he gets fucked up a lot.
Sorry, they shoot Ronnie by accident.
So they see Michael in the corridor, and they're shooting at him, and
then it's
revealed, oh, it's actually Ronnie. And this is there's been a few times in this film where Laurie will see Michael, but it's kind of playing with, no, she's thinking she is, because she keeps closing her eyes and seeing him, and then it happens to be someone else.
Yes, sorry.
So the same sort of things happened here.
Yeah. She shoots him, and they're like, "Oh my god, what did we do? How did we do this?" And this is when Will shows up, this is when Michael shows up and stabs Will right in the back. A classic Michael Myers death. The big kitchen knife in the back, lifting you off the ground as he convulses and shakes.
It's probably the best kill. And it's not the most creative kill, but at least we're seeing a kill here, and at least it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like okay, we got the lantern thing with the chick, but we
didn't see the kill, did we? We just saw her after
the character Will, Adam Arkin, like he's at least selling the death pretty well. Shaking and everything.
Like Abyss.
I think it's best death. I honestly think
this is the best one in the film. Yeah.
I mean, unless you count Michael, but we'll get there. We see Laurie. Yeah.
Michael? Question mark?
We see Laurie like completely in shambles, but pretty much moves on from Will's death and runs now. She's like,
any horror film is like, that sucks.
Well, that sucks. Anyways, so she runs to the closet and she's like, guys, let's get out of there. So they all exit the apartment and the corridors, and then they get in the car and they drive up to the security gate. And then she says, drive up to, I forget who she says, but I think it's another throwback name that's related.
Yeah,
to, like,
there's a line in the first film where she's like, go like a mile down the road to the Beckers or whoever, and it's very similar.
So they're like, what do you mean? Let's go, Mom. And she's like, no, I have to finish this. So she has an axe, like a fireman's axe, and she says, go drive and do as I say. So that's also a throwback to the original, like, do what I say to the kids, right? So they drive off, and then she locks the front gate. The music hits again, and then the music is ramping up here as she has the axe in her hand, and Laurie yells, Michael! It's the main event showdown you've been waiting 20 years for at this point. Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers as the showdown happens. She goes back into this building at the corridors, and she's like, Michael, where are you? And Michael showing off his what is this like skill here? He's above her and slowly climbs down like Spider-Man.
It's like incredible strength here.
Very weird.
But like, how is he? Like, it's not like he's in the rafters. It's just a ceiling with a pole. So
Yeah.
what was he doing?
Very extra that they did not need this. So he attacks her here.
Again, he loves the theatrics.
Also, she's the one who is like coming after him, and then right away she's like, no, and then runs away right away. So she's in the like cafeteria dining hall. Like, what was he even doing up there? He was just waiting there for her. No, we'd be chasing her.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So they're in this cafeteria, and she's under all these tables, and he's following her. The music's ramped up, and he's flipping all the tables, and she's underneath them. We've seen this in multiple different horror movies and Halloween movies, the variation of the tables and everything. So we see eventually she gets up and she's like picking which tables to flip, and he's trying to guess which one she's under. She grabs a flag of California and stabs Michael with it, but it's not enough to kill him. So he continues to chase her. She runs through the kitchen. She grabs kitchen knives. She's trying to throw them at Michael like ninja stars, but it's not connecting. Goes back into the hallway. And this is when she eventually has like the one big kitchen knife, and they're fighting on the like banister area that's looking down to the cafeteria area that they were in.
Like in the first film.
Yeah. So she starts to stab him. I think she stabs him like 10 times here, when eventually he falls back off the balcony, off the perch here, like Shane O'Mac. And Michael Myers goes through like 10 different tables like it's the ECW arena.
Oh, yeah.
And she looks down. She's staring at him like, fuck, finally. So she goes down there. She sees that he's dead, and she raises up this like axe or knife, and she's going to stab him. She's going to double tap, but LL Cool J shows up. No, stop. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Shh, it's okay. He's dead. Come on, Ronnie.
Yeah.
What are you? Anyways, flashback to the future about 10 minutes. The cops show up. We see Ronnie on the phone with bandages all around his head, and he's on the phone to his wife. Listen, baby, I'm going to now write romantic thrillers. Ronnie's going to have a hell of a career after surviving.
So. Really
where's
so.
that in the universe? Why didn't he ever come back as a character? Anyways, we see John and his girlfriend. They're alive, and Michael is being loaded up into, he's dead. He's covered up with the sheet over him. He's being loaded up into the ambulance, and it's all over. But Laurie's staring at the body. She has her axe in the hand. She walks over to a cop who's not paying attention. She grabs the cop's gun, waves it around at everyone. Stay back! Stay back! He's not dead. Load him in the back.
Gun and an axe.
Like, what
there's
the
multiple
hell?
police, and they're just like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, all right, lady. Yeah, you commandeer our vehicle. That's
so
fine.
she basically Grand Theft Autos this ambulance with Michael Myers' dead body in the body bag in the back. She then drives this thing through the security gate, drives through these California hills. She's driving. She's got the gun. She's got the axe. She keeps looking in the mirror. The body's not moving. But then there's movement. The body of Michael Myers starts to move, and she's like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. So she's driving, and we see him slowly coming out of this body bag, and Michael goes to attack her when she hits a tree, spirals out of control, and they both like go down. I think at first he flies out the window.
Yeah.
And then she
jumps out the side.
And then she hits him with the car, and that's when the car goes out and flips and all these crazy flips down the hill here. And when it finally lands, she's okay, but she sees the car, the van, the ambulance has pinned Michael against a tree. And he looks dead, but she gets up. She has her axe in hand, and of course, she says, Michael. And he wakes up. He's looking around. He's like, oh, it's you. And he starts to reach out his hand to her. And she's like, no, Michael. And she thinks about it. She thinks about reaching up to dap him up. And instead, she chops his fucking head off with the axe as you just hear the Halloween theme blaring again. The cops' sirens in the distance as it cuts to black. H20. And then eventually, What's This Life For by Creed.
Nice. Yeah, cool finish, I think, with the decapitation of Michael. I do think, kind of going back to the mask thing, they wanted to see the eyes for the bit through the window of the door, and this bit where you get the sense he's reaching out and he's like, but you're my sister. We love each other still. And she's like, nah. But yeah, the end's cool. Overall, though, I found this really unsatisfying as a movie. I I just thought the kills weren't fun or gory or anything really. It just felt lazy. Just the fact how Michael escaped or what he's been doing the last 20 years. Laurie just happening to think, oh, my kid's 17, so he must be coming back. It just felt like it was a quick movie. It was only about
like
80
under
minutes.
90 minutes.
Really
this is
short.
One of the shortest ones.
It flew by, and it just felt right. We just need to get right into Michael's stuff, and didn't really take the time or care to have the exposition around it.
I think the second he's in the thing is when at least like it's like a classic Halloween movie. Like he's chasing people, there's killing, there's greatest hits. You want to see him do that kind of stuff. You never get the like best kill is him stabbing someone, or it's Laurie chopping his damn head off, I guess, because like that's also a cool visual. But yeah, like it's under 90 minutes, and there's so many things that you think, what if you did this? If you already have this story that if you're going with, I think you could have made a whole lot better. And instead you kind of cheaped out like, hey, if we spend 15 mil, we could make, 40 mil.
Yeah.
Whereas like, hey, maybe if you actually like did a little bit more, maybe if you really did pay John Carpenter and people to different writers and stuff, that you could have come up with something.
Hire a shittier rapper for less money.
Cool J. Like
he's fine. He's great. But like it feels that they're clearly giving Jamie Lee Curtis a lot of money for this film.
Yeah.
And it felt as I was watching it, I can see the budget on this. I can see that they're cheaping out on certain things.
Yeah.
The fact that, what are there, about nine deaths in this one? Something like that.
Count.
But we only see about 3 of them actually happen.
Yeah,
a lot of it is just revealed that this person has died.
Yeah, so it gives it a more of a PG feel, right?
Yeah.
Like, I watched this at a really young age, and meaning I watched it because it wasn't that gruesome or anything.
There's 7. There's 7. And
we don't even see all those.
We see... like multiple are off screen.
Yeah.
Right?
Ridiculous. I still have a soft spot for this movie, but after watching it all these years later, like, I was like, oh, okay, it's actually not as good as I remembered it to be when, I was probably like 18 when I watched it on AMC.
Yeah.
The last time before watching it before like a year or two ago. But that being said, I still think I'd put it above 4, 5, and 6. It has a way more rewatch value. I just don't like the kid dynamic. I find like I'd rather at least have you have Laurie in this one at least, but I'm still not defending that. Like every time I watch this, I'm like, you're like WCW spending a little bit of money to make the show, but all the money on Jamie that you don't really care about everything else because, hey, we got you because we got Jamie. Yeah. It's like, hey, look, we have Hulk Hogan. It's like, yeah, but you kind of need to like do other stuff.
I'm on the other page. I find 4, 5, and 6 way more enjoyable. Just because, the kills are a bit more creative. There's at least the lore is ridiculous, but at least there is some sort of thought into it. Like there's some sort of explanation into certain things. Might not be good explanations, but there's an attempt, not just, well, this is how it is. So I was really disappointed with this one, actually.
I think the only thing I really enjoy on rewatch is like the ending of like what happens and everything, because it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
In Halloween movies, like there's silly shit, but she steals the cop's gun, gets him loaded, and drives off and cuts his fucking head off.
And they're just fine with it. Just absolutely fine with it. They're like, she's had a day. Let her do what she wants to do.
Like, like again, not necessarily on my higher end. I always had a soft spot for this one, but I would not rate it compared to the original by any means. But like, I don't know if I'd rate it. I'd still put it above 4, 5, and 6. But comparing to some of the other ones, I'm not quite sure. I think I'd put them maybe even above this. Halloween Ends, though, is where I'm not sure.
Now, you know what I want to see? Now, if you were to make a Halloween series or whatever,
which there's rumors there is.
At least the new Halloweens, they've had Michael in prison this whole time, right? This one we don't know his whereabouts for the last 20 years. I want a series bridging the gap between Halloween 2 and Halloween H20.
Oh my God.
Just what's Michael been doing? How's he been surviving? Has he been killing other people? Has he just plotting? Has he been plotting this whole time to find Jamie? I assume he got a job somehow.
How did he get this mask?
What's he been doing?
People?
Where did he find this new mask? I want a series, maybe a series with no killing. Just 20 years, 2 decades in the life of Michael Myers leading up to this moment.
I don't mind the like story of Laurie going away, pretending her death. That's something that
works.
Like
that
there's good
works.
stuff in this that you could have taken, and they like this is reworks of different scripts. Fast forward to like the newer Halloween, I think it's the same issue. It's like, hey, we came up with a pretty good idea, and then it just like that first one is really good, and then is it over? Now we're gonna make 2 more. Oh, but wow, okay. Oh, so you're just changing everything you just did.
Yeah.
Because the ending of this movie, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, cool. 20 years later, I don't really like doing scary movies ever since. That's how I made my name for myself. I haven't done a horror movie in years, but if I come back and you're paying me a fuck ton and I'm getting my flowers, I'm killing him. I'm killing Michael Myers, and that's it. And they go, sure, cool, whatever you say. And then in the back of, is it one of the producers to be like, yeah, but what if you didn't kill him?
Yeah.
And you got someone else loaded in the back there, which is exactly where they go with
ridiculous.
Resurrection.
We'll get there. I had to last night after I finished watching this, just watch the opening scene.
Yeah, the opening is insane. I don't know how much she got paid for that. We'll talk about it next year, I'm sure. She gets paid to be in like 5 minutes where it's just she gets killed. And she was like, I can't believe you guys did that. But I'm getting the bag, so fuck you guys. And then they make that movie. So, I mean, Resurrection, I guess out of rewatch might be better than this one, but not a lot of people would say that either.
No.
So, yeah. Again, it's a Halloween movie, so I always enjoy watching these because with this one being from '98, like this is how old is this one now? This is like almost
30 years.
Almost like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So like. This was 20 years from the original. We're at now further from when they were at this one, which is absolutely crazy. So, yeah.
Well, that's what we thought. We do have a piece of feedback from, I think, another Loomis over here.
Confirmed he will be coming to Loomis Night.
Nice. Yes. Jesse from the 6, who says, H2O was a solid reboot of the franchise. Very 90s, but very enjoyable. Though I did miss the...
Sam Hain.
No, that's not how you pronounce Sarwin, I think is the pronunciation. I did miss the Sarwin Druids, the Man in Black, and Paul Rudd. Yes, me too. Yeah. What I like most about this movie is that they gave you a definitive end to the story. The franchise is over because Laurie decapitates Michael. So that's that. Puts finger up to imaginary earpiece. Wait, what?
Yeah, that pretty much sums up. Like, wait, you're saying you kill him. Like, what was that meeting? What was that first call? Hey, Jamie, new line, they want to talk to you. Dimension? Yeah, they got you on the line. Oh. Yeah, what's it about? Yeah, so we're thinking of bringing you back. But I killed him. Yeah. But it wasn't him. We'll give you a few mil. Yeah, all right.
I'm going to work one day and one day only. Yep. Cool. I want to be paid more than anyone else in the movie. Yep, you will. Even Busta Rhymes. Yep.
But yeah, I have, like I said, a soft spot for H2O. I'm going to put it on the shelf, though. I've watched it like too many times in the last few years that like now I'm going to I need to rewatch the last trilogy again to get into this. But the next time we do this next year will be Trick or Treat, motherfucker.
It will be. Finally.
Very excited.
Finally, my favorite film ever.
Ever?
Yeah, why not?
Very, very good film. But yes, let us know. Where should Halloween go in the future with the Halloween Ends trilogy being over?
Chris Elliott's kind of agreeing with me. Michael working a 9-to-5 office job for those,
he just doesn't
those
talk.
20 years. Yeah.
He's a mute. What does he do?
Comes in, does his work, collects his check. He's saving up for that nice boiler suit and William Shatner mask he saw.
He's like a toll guy because you don't have to talk to anybody really. They just let people go by. That would be all right. Michael Myers, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Halloween 7 is what this movie should have been, but instead it's H2O.
Yes. Wow. All right. Well, that's that.
There you go. Happy Halloween, everyone. We hope you enjoyed us rambling on about H2O. Let us know. Did you agree? Disagree with on a pod. Our YouTube, if you watch this on YouTube, hello, give us a little follow. Appreciate that. And patreon.com/poisonrana, because we have lots of horror movies. If you like our horror movies that we've done here, we've done so many classics. Alien, Scream, all the Halloweens, everything. all these movies and wrestling reviews in the archives there, and it's only $5. And like we said, chop-tees.com/poisonrana for all the merchandise, and it goes to your favorite independent podcast here at Poison Rana. So we hope you have a happy Halloween, happy Loomis night. Shout out Donald Pleasance, even though he wasn't in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. We appreciate everyone out there. We'll be back Sunday at 2 for Poison Rana. We'll be Tuesday nights or Wednesday, I guess, for post wrestling ECW arena. But appreciate everyone out there. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And he's evil.
Ahoy!